Right, let's formally welcome our viewers on our terrestrial platform who are just joining us now on the road to 2023. Now, we told you earlier that we shall be looking at the festering crisis in some of the political parties with just about a month to the 2023 elections. Joining me in the studio to look at this issue is the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dumebe Kachiku. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Money.
Right. Also joining us is Lawal Safana. He is the Deputy Director at Atiku Okowa Lado Campaign Council. He is a chieftain of the PDP in Katsina State. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And
we are also being joined via Zoom by the embattled former national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Ralph NWOSU. Chief NWOSU, thank you so much for finding time to join us.
Thank you very much from the global campus of ADC.
Thank you so much. Right, so gentlemen, let me welcome you again to the program. There appears to be so much distraction in the political parties, at least some of them, for now, that we know of. With just a month, about a month to the elections, you have one little crisis here, one crisis there, and dissenting voices there, and all of that, at almost at every level, but at national and state level. We just listen, for instance, to a group in Taraba State that are opposed to the governorship candidate of the party in that state, and at national level, you have different issues. What do you think is responsible for this? Is it just a fallout of the primaries of the political parties, or there are deep-seated differences and divisions within the parties?
Okay, well, within my party, I will say that we no longer have issues since the court has ruled on the issue of the tenure extension of the erstwhile chairman of the party, Ralph NWOSU. So I believe there are no longer any issues. But as long as you always have people like that in parties who have made it, who have made party politics a profession of some sort or a means of livelihood. So when you have election seasons like this, they wait every 4 years for a time like this, and this is when it's their time to profit from the party structure. So you will always have people like me who gullibly come into parties like this, who intend to run elections, and you don't know that some of the smaller parties are just set up to trade the mandate of their candidates. I'll tell you, within the ADC, the erstwhile chairman is fond of saying they have over 8,700 candidates across the country. But what people don't realize is that majority of those people were fielded there for them to be able to use to say to the bigger parties, this party is strong, we have candidates everywhere, and then they can use that to trade. So what happens to someone like me, presidential candidate, right? When you're running elections, the first thing you want to do is you want to go across the country. Like you see what Atiku is doing or Bola Tinubu, they are all doing. So when they go to all these states, you have a Guba candidate who is mobilizing people to show his strength. You have a senatorial candidate or House of Rep or the House of Assembly candidates who are all mobilizing people to come and receive you to show that they are running a race and to show their strength. Here's my situation. I have not been able to really go anywhere because most of the candidates in my party exist only on paper. They're not running any races. So I can't go anywhere and say, oh, I'm depending on this structure to say, oh, receive me, do this or do that, because this man put these people so that he will use them, collect agent codes, and then they sell out to the big parties. Let me tell you what the greatest tragedy is right now. Justice Nyako ruled on the 20th of December that NWOSU's actions since August 30th are all null and void, and that he's no longer the chairman of the party. as we speak today, INEC has refused to honor that judgment. INEC has given the agent codes to this same NWOSU and his cohorts, and they are using this to trade with some of the bigger parties. You will soon hear and you see them with the people they've put in the parties, them flying the flags of other presidential candidates, and if you see the platforms of different groups in our parties aligning with this, aligning with that party, because this is all they were set up to do. Who do I blame? Do I blame a Raf NWOSU who has been there for 17 years, or do I blame an INEC who is supposed to be the umpire, the regulator of parties, and who sees what's happening, condones it, and seems to support it? Who do you blame? The tragedy and the travesty of all this is that Nigerians are the worse off for this. Because in an election season where you expected us to be debating the issues, to proffer solutions on the myriad problems we have as Nigerians, we have not seen a single debate where we really drill down on the economy and what we really need to do to uplift or activate or take our economy in the positive direction. Is it our infrastructural deficit? Is it housing? Is it security? Is it tourism? We've not been able to debate this because all you see are distractions and the comedy going on with the likes of Dino and Fani Kayode and the inter-party issues that we're seeing. Nigerians are the worst off because tell you what, whoever emerges as the president of this country after the federal 25th general elections, he will have to contend with issues that are nation destabilizing or nation destroying. And he has not had any opportunity to test his ideas, his solutions, because we never had opportunity to discuss it. Nigerians are the worst off for this.
Okay. All right. I'm sure that Mr. Raf NWOSU will be responding to some of the issues that you have thrown up. But first, let me turn to Alhaji Safana. Yes. What do you think is responsible for the kind of, well, let me not call them crisis, yes, but differences that are ongoing at a time when you expect that every party member should be queuing behind the leadership of the parties and their candidates? We are saying discordant tunes, even in your party, yes, the PDP.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let us understand that political, misunderstandings and clashes whenever, elections are around the corner are normal in political parties. The fundamental difference that you find is the ability or capacity of the political party to either contain or resolve such differences. It's when these differences are not resolved. It's when these differences become, a problem to the election date. That is when they become crisis.
And we just have about 30 days to the
We
elections.
have about 30 days. But if I should give you an example of my party, the PDP, note that all the people that are, campaigning against the political movement of the party are not doing so against the PDP. They are doing so against particular candidates. And which means that they are not going to leave the PDP. They are not going to cause problems to all our levels of election, but they are going to be they are going to stand aloof when it comes to one of the elections. Now, the capacity or the ability now of the PDP to resolve this misunderstanding, to go back to the root cause of this misunderstanding, bring these people together, let them understand what exactly started this and why it shouldn't affect the election in the final analysis. Because when it does, if the crisis or the misunderstanding affects the presidential election and it falls against the PDP, then it's going to affect each one of the members of the PDP, including them.
Do you think, Mr. Safana, that the party has a capacity to resolve some of these issues before February 25th?
By the grace of God, PDP has always done that. If you notice such misunderstandings, such a clash of interest and the power tussles in the House, they have always been part of the PDP because it is a very, very large family. It is normal. It is normal. But there are points that you reach when the complainant and the one complained against will finally sit down and tell themselves the truth. And that is definitely going to happen before the election day, I assure you.
Okay. We will come back to whether or not all of this is happening because of the lack of ideological bent or leanings within the political party. But let me turn to Mr. Ralph NWOSU. Mr. Ralph NWOSU, you have been chairman of your party for about 17 years. And those who are saying that you have had enough are saying that, look, the constitution of the party does not allow you to continue to stay in power for this long. And they are saying there is actually a court order that says that you no longer have the right to preside over the affairs of the party.
Thank you very much. I am participating in this program because of the respect I have for EIGTH, and then also the need for people to hear certain things. So I may not respond to your questions, which I think was deliberately given to you by somebody for a particular reason, and I will not.
That is not correct, sir. That's not correct.
Having said that,
that's not correct.
The person you are calling the presidential candidate, where is ever since June 9th, when he got the party's ticket, where in Abuja is his office? Where in Abuja is Dumebi Kachukwu's campaign office? Where in Abuja or anywhere in Nigeria have you ever seen one? He's from Delta State. Ask him if he ever visited Delta State for one day, ever since he stole ADC's ticket. Ask him clear questions. You are media people. When you see certain things going wrong, you should be able to do a proper diagnosis. Building any organization is not easy. Before EIGTH became the kind of organization it is today, it's not a tea party. It's not a 1 year or 4 year stuff, and so on. So you people are more or less, from what I see, it seems you are interested in derailing the democratic process, and so on. This is wrong. As somebody has come to EIGTH continuously and went to all the media organizations to criticize and libel a party that we've invested so much to build for nothing, and you people don't ask him, are you running for president or not? Did you go to the party without doing any research? You went to the party, you researched, and less than 4 months in the party, all you were wanting to do is to steal the party, is to sack everybody, and you say, under your watch, being a presidential candidate, if you came and then we opened the door, we did a transparent process, and you got the ticket, and you wouldn't run, every other presidential candidate is they all everywhere doing their contestation. Show me the office of the man that you give your floor on daily basis to castigate ADC, that you know how hard, you in EIGTH, you know how hard we have worked to build something from nothing. And all of a sudden, you think you can continue this way. It's not fair.
Mr. NWOSU, I've known you for several years.
But any decent human being will ask him, where is your campaign office?
Mr. NWOSU.
His campaign office. Where is one sign that he's running for president? He came to hijack our party ticket after the hard work we put. We put so much hard work, he came to hijack the ticket, and he kept it in his small root TV office. And there, he's laughing that he has achieved his objective. All he wants to do is to rubbish NWOSU and all the effort he has put on, and so on. Please, if, new journalism, you have access to information. You have access, we have the Google, we have everything. We have access to information. You should investigate the person that that is giving all these phantom claims. If I've stayed for 17 years, that will automatically mean that even the ticket he got, which I signed, I conducted the process and I signed, is now null and void. And you listen to him and you try to make a mouth out of
Mr. NWOSU, please let me ask you a question. Mr. NWOSU, you should allow us to also ask you some questions, please. You have said that you conducted a transparent primary which produced the candidate. At the same time, you are saying he either hijacked the ticket or stole the ticket. I'm using your words. Now, which is which? If you conducted a transparent primary, and you signed his certificate, it means that there was a primary and that there was a legitimate primary process.
15, we ran Dr. Mani Ahmad. In 2019, we ran the former deputy governor of Central Bank, Melafia Obadia, now late, unfortunately, and so on. And now we are running to the all he wants to do is to tarnish our image. It's God that will judge him. God will judge him, and God will judge everybody that is colluding with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. NWOSU, Mr. Kachukwu. So many issues that he has put on the table. He says you hijacked the ticket of the party. In fact, he used the word stole the ticket of the party, and that you do not have a campaign office anywhere, and that you appear not to be campaigning for this election.
Money, let me tell you, you see, like what I said is a tragedy and a travesty. When I joined this party and I went in for the primaries, on the day of the primaries, 2 hours before the primaries started, this man sent for me in the presence of the BOT chairman, Senator Pasha Kwashiki, and told me, point blank, if we have to go into these primaries, it's clear you are going to win. You have to give me 1.something billion naira. Then from there, negotiate down to 500 million naira. And I said, absolutely not. Senator Patricia Akwashiki was a witness to this. She was there. I said, I won't do it. He said this to me. He's going to go and he's going to see meet Mohalo. I have the same conversation with Mohalo. I laughed. I know Mohalo very well. I know that the last thing Mohalo will do is give me any such money. So that is the party on whose platform I emerged. A man who 2 hours said he was not going to do the primaries unless I gave him that money. Guess what? When I refused, he wanted to truncate the primaries and make himself the candidate of the party. The lawyers refused and said it's not possible for this to happen. Went into the primaries and I won. Immediately I won the primaries of the party. The first thing I said is for us to have a roadmap for elections, for us to move around the country. The first movement I did was to EIGTH, support the Guba candidate in EIGTH State. I took NWOSU with me, and I was told by the party that that was the very first time NWOSU had ever gone for any campaign. A few weeks later, we went to Sokoto State. He refused to join us because he's never interested in anything that has to do with party politics other than collecting money. Now, let me tell you this. I thank God someone here from the Atiku Kowa organization is here. NWOSU mentioned campaign offices. Party faithful, party supporters across the country donate campaign offices, campaign material, vehicles, and different things. In this party, because people know the charlatan that was former chairman, no such thing has happened.
Let's be more civil in our use of language, please.
Imani, let me say this. No such thing has happened in the party. I am willing to sponsor another 1 hour program so that this NWOSU can show you, out of the 1,700 plus candidates he said campaigning in this country he has on the party's platform, it should show you the campaigns going on by these candidates across the country.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
All right.
It's absolutely disgraceful. But I tell you what, one thing I want to tell Nigerians is this. My story, the difficult story, journey I have gone through with ADC, says something to me. It's the story of Nigeria, a very difficult journey, a difficult story. I will persevere to the very end because I ran this race believing that Nigeria is on the verge of disintegration if you don't have serious people running for office. That's why I ran for office. More so, or anybody else won't stop me. I will continue running this race and encouraging young people across the country to serve their fatherland. That is what we must do.
Okay. All right. Mr. Savannah, because our time is fast spent, I just asked you this question, which was the pose I put across to you before. Is there a possibility that the challenges the parties are having, the differences within the parties as a result of the lack of clear-cut ideologies in these parties, and that all those who are members of these political parties are there not because they really want to provide service for Nigerians, but for personal aggrandizement?
Yeah, I understand, but unfortunately, in my candid opinion, Nigeria's democracy has not yet matured to the level of being ideological. That is one basic fact. What runs our democracy today, what runs our elections today, are two fundamental things. They are sectional politics and individual persons who stand for elections. If you notice, the genesis of the crisis or the misunderstanding in the PDP started from the convention where party leaders were elected. At that time, there were people who were ready to allow the North to take it because they believed that that would improve the chances of the South to take the presidency. Now, politics being what it is, took turns. The PDP was looking at the APC. What are they doing there? What are we going to do to counter it? What's happening there, and what are we going to do to
political
neutralize it?
calculations?
Yes, and those political calculations now eventually graduated to the fact that the PDP had to leave that seat open.
Okay.
When it left it open, chances are that the North will take it because it's a matter of number. The delegates from the North outnumber the delegates from the South.
It's a game of numbers.
It's a game of numbers. But I assure you that the Southern candidates did very well because I was there, I was at the convention, I've been a national delegate for too long. I know that if not for the fight, if not for the struggle, if not for the tenacity of Mr. Nelson Wiki, those 237 votes wouldn't have been garnered by the South. So I really respect him for that. Right. And I believe that that is the point from which the PDP needs to build its compromise and start bringing these people together so that this crisis is over. All
right. Well, we still have our social media segment to go to, but before we do that, very quickly, let's get back to Mr. Ralph NWOSU, who is still very much with us via Zoom. Mr. NWOSU, we'd just like you to give us a last word here on these differences within your party. Is there a possibility that this could be resolved before the February 25th election?
You see, I want to appreciate you. I've been in the system of Nigerian democracy and Nigerian politics since 1991. And anybody who knows me know that I'm a peace-loving man. I look for peace. We came together to build a transformational party, built on ideology. Building anything on ideology, giving ideological slant to any political organization takes time. Yeah. The part of the challenges we've had in Nigeria with the political parties that they don't have any ideological slant. And I know that meaningful people, deeply thinking people, both in the media and everybody, has been wanting parties to start rooting themselves on ideological basis. The regulatory authority, they know the innovation that ADC has introduced into the system. And we are As a matter of fact, here it's like a learning center. ADC Global Campus is a learning center. You come to learn. Unfortunately, assuming that somebody like Dumebi had come to our global center much earlier, he could have unlearned most of his tricks and learned the proper way that the ADC DNA works. Having said that, we have 1,411 persons running for election in ADC. And by the grace of God, irrespective of what Dumebi has cost us, we are going to produce a good result. By the grace of God, we will produce some governors. We are working hard on them. We will produce some senators. We will produce some House of Rep members, and we will produce a lot of House of Assembly members. We are working very hard.
Okay.
We are distracted. Dumebi is playing a ploy. He didn't campaign, and what he's been trying to do is all the efforts we are making on our governorship slots, our Senate slots, and so on, he's trying to see that nothing happens because of the agenda he's playing.
All right.
I always swear, whatever propaganda he carries, we all know Pat Tommy. Go and ask him. He worked with us. He worked with me and most of the founders of this party. He can talk to you about us. In 2019, 2018, the former presidents, President Obasanjo, IBB, and many others, they did a due diligence to select one party that they can use moving forward. After the due diligence, we had 90-something political parties there. They called me, I didn't lobby, they called me to say, we have carried out a due diligence and we've seen that ADC is a good party to use because of the value you've tried to put into ADC. And they adopted ADC. Unfortunately, the election of 2019 didn't go too well. But since then, we've been working, we've been toiling. All the Nigerian youths endorsed ADC, and they called ADC their party.
Okay, Mr. NWOSU, unfortunately, our time is fast spent, and we look forward to having you again on this program at some other time. And of course, by then, we are hoping that you and the other executive members of the party and other members of the party would have resolved the differences. But for now, that's the much we can take on the program today. Before we go, let's thank our guests who joined us right here in the studio and virtually. The presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dumebi Kachiku. Thank you so much for finding time to join us always. And of course, Alhaji Lawa Safana, who is the Deputy Director at Tikokowa Lado Campaign Council and the chieftain of the PDP in Katsina State. Thank you so much for finding time to come to the studio. And of course, the former national chairman of the African Democratic Congress himself, Ralph Wonsu, who joined us virtually on the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. And for you, our viewers there, we thank you for investing your time with us. And we look forward to being with you again when we bring you a fresh edition of the program, Road to 2023. Bye for now.